Hi there, I'm Jim, and today we're diving into a sensitive yet crucial topic in relationships: sex with a dismissive, avoidant partner. Maybe you've experienced intense passion in the beginning, only to suddenly feel coldness, distance, and loneliness right in the heart of intimacy. You might start wondering, am I not attractive enough? What did I do wrong? But the deeper truth? It's not about you. This video will help you understand the psychological dynamics behind that shift, so you stop internalizing the pain. If you've ever felt alone in a supposedly intimate bond, you won't want to miss this. Subscribe and watch until the end, because this is the kind of insight that can transform how you love and how you protect your heart. From the very first moments of intimacy, it might feel like you've been swept into a whirlwind of passion, such strong physical chemistry that you start thinking, this must be real love. With someone who has a dismissive, avoidant attachment style, the beginning is often intensely passionate, not because they're ready to bond, but because at that early stage, the relationship still feels safe to them. Dopamine is the brain's reward hormone, fueling the excitement. Since there's no deep emotional commitment yet, no vulnerability required, they feel unthreatened. That freedom allows them to show up with fiery intensity, fully immersed in the thrill of the new. But here's what you need to understand. They're not bonding, they're escaping. They're high on sensation, not necessarily connected to you as a person. And as dopamine fades and emotional closeness becomes expected, you may start to feel a shift. That passion starts to pull back. Don't blame yourself. Don't assume you did something wrong. What you're witnessing is a protective reaction from someone whose attachment system is built around fear and distance. But then, like a wave pulling back after high tide, you start to feel something shifting. At first, you might not be able to name it, just a sense that the hugs are fewer, their gaze lingers less, and those once electric moments of intimacy now feel quieter, more disconnected. This is when the avoidant begins to retreat, not because they've stopped loving you, and not because you did something wrong, but because emotional closeness and commitment are increasing, and that activates their internal defenses. To them, emotional intimacy feels like danger, a setup for being exposed and eventually abandoned. So, they pull away. Physical intimacy, meant to be a space of connection, now becomes a threat, because it involves presence, eye contact, vulnerability, the very things that make them feel most unsafe. And so, they start creating distance. They might blame stress, fatigue, or even say they're no longer attracted to you. But the truth is, what they're avoiding isn't you. It's the vulnerability of truly connecting. If you don't understand this, it's easy to take it personally. You might start trying to be better, more attractive, more accommodating, unknowingly turning yourself into the pursuer, when the problem never started with you in the first place. As the distance grows, you may find yourself confused, wondering, what did I do wrong? Or, wasn't everything perfect at the beginning? But this is precisely where clarity is most needed. The avoidant isn't pulling away because you're not enough, but because the relationship is becoming real. And with emotional depth comes less room to hide from their oldest fears. To understand their withdrawal, you have to look at the root. Behind that distancing lies a history of emotional neglect in childhood. Avoidants often grew up in environments where their emotions were ignored, dismissed, or even shamed. They learned to survive by shutting down, becoming self-reliant, and avoiding vulnerability. Deep inside, they carry a painful belief. If someone truly sees who I am, he fears my wounds, my emotions, they will leave me. So, physical intimacy becomes dangerous territory, not just physical, but emotionally risky. Eye contact, skin-to-skin closeness, the rawness of being near it all makes them feel exposed, not physically, but as a human being. And if they've never experienced being truly seen safely, that closeness triggers fear. They retreat, they disconnect. Even if they continue being physically intimate, they do it with emotional detachment. No eye contact, no cuddling, no affection. It becomes mechanical, no longer connection. You can be lying next to them, skin to skin, and still feel crushingly alone. It's the ache of being touched without ever truly being reached. That fear of being exposed drives them not only to retreat, but to completely detach emotions from physical intimacy. And this is one of the most painful experiences for the partner who still hopes, still loves. At first, even rare moments of intimacy may whisper, maybe they still care, but slowly, you realize they're there, but not really present. There's no eye contact that lingers, no tender gestures after the touch, no arm wrapping around you at the end. Just a hollow act, as if a physical need was met in silence. They touch you, but they don't feel you, and you're there, fully exposed not just physically, but emotionally, yet abandoned in a quiet, numbing loneliness. It's no longer connection, it's isolation in the middle of closeness. And with each encounter like that, you start doubting your own worth. You wonder, am I just a body to them? Am I being used? Do they even love me anymore? These questions eat away at you, making you feel like you need to try harder, be better. But the truth is, this isn't because you're not enough. It's because they've never learned how to love and stay present in closeness. They are used to disconnecting, and that says nothing about your value. When physical intimacy turns cold and mechanical, the pain cuts deep, but you still try to make sense of it. You tell yourself, maybe they're stressed, maybe they just need time. You hold on to hope that with enough love and patience, they'll open up again. But instead of hearing their fears or vulnerability, you hear blame. You're just not attractive anymore. Or, you're too sensitive, it's your issue. Words like these, sharp and dismissive, wound your sense of self. They blame to avoid facing themselves. For an avoidant, admitting they're pulling away out of fear means confronting deep-rooted wounds, feeling flawed, not good enough, or unlovable since childhood. That truth is too painful. So instead, they shift the focus, making you the problem. They protect their fragile ego by placing the weight on your shoulders. And tragically, those who love deeply often believe it. You start dissecting your every move, altering your appearance, managing your emotions, trying to be just right in their eyes. But the more you contort yourself, the more hollow you feel. Because the truth is, this was never about you. You're dealing with someone who refuses to take emotional responsibility and uses blame as a shield. This emotional irresponsibility doesn't just hurt, it warps the entire dynamic of the relationship. And when you're the only one trying to rescue something they won't even claim as theirs, you're not loving freely anymore. You're trapped in a love shaped by shame and slowly losing yourself in the process. So if you're in a relationship where intimacy has gone hollow, where blame replaces affection, and where you feel lonely lying next to someone you love, pause and ask yourself, am I holding on to love? Or am I enduring pain disguised as love? You deserve a connection that's mutual, a relationship where your body and heart are touched at the same time, where you don't have to hustle to be loved. Love isn't a battlefield where you prove your worth. It's not a one-sided effort to hold on to someone who's emotionally withdrawn. Remember, their retreat says nothing about your worth. It only reveals their limitations in loving deeply and showing up. What you need to do is not chase, not convince, but step back. Hold on to your self-respect and ask yourself, am I being loved the way I deserve? If the answer is no, then letting go isn't failure. Letting go is how you create space for real love that never makes you question your value. If you saw yourself in this story, hit subscribe for more on attachment styles, healthy boundaries, and becoming the strongest version of yourself in love.